Chapters 10 through 19 of First Chronicles from the World English Bible. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Carol Newkirk. The First Book of Chronicles from the World English Bible, Chapters 10 through 19. Chapter 10. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines and fell down slain on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines followed hard after Saul and after his sons, and the Philistines killed Jonathan and Abinadab and Malchishua, the sons of Saul. The battle went hard against Saul, and the archers overtook him, and he was distressed by reason of the archers. Then Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust me through with it, lest these uncircumcised come and abuse me." But his armor-bearer would not, for he was terrified. Therefore Saul took his sword and fell on it. When his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he likewise fell on his sword and died. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, and all his house died together. When all the men of Israel who were in the valley saw that they fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook their cities and fled, and the Philistines came and lived in them. It happened on the next day, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They stripped him, and took his head and his armor, and sent into the land of the Philistines all around to carry the news to their idols and to the people. They put his armor in the house of their gods, and fastened his head in the house of Dagon. When all Jabesh-Gilead heard all that the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose, and took away the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons, and brought them to Jabesh, and buried their bones under the oak in Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. So Saul died for his trespass which he committed against Yahweh, because of the word of Yahweh, which he didn't keep, and also because he asked counsel of one who had a familiar spirit to inquire, and didn't inquire of Yahweh. Therefore he killed him, and turned the kingdom to David, the son of Jesse. End of chapter 10. Chapter 11. Then all Israel gathered themselves to David in Hebron, saying, "Behold, we are your bone and your flesh. In times past, even when Saul was king, it was you who led out and brought in Israel. Yahweh your God said to you, 'You shall be shepherd of my people Israel, and you shall be prince over my people Israel.'" So all the elders of Israel came to the king of Hebron, and David made a covenant with them in Hebron before Yahweh, and they anointed David king over Israel, according to the word of Yahweh by Samuel. David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, the same as Jebus, and the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, were there. The inhabitants of Jebus said to David, "You shall not come in here." Nevertheless David took the stronghold of Zion. The same is the city of David. David said, "Whoever strikes the Jebusites first shall be chief and captain." Joab, the son of Zeruiah, went up first, and was made chief. David lived in the stronghold. Therefore they called it the city of David. He built the city all around, from Millo even around, and Joab repaired the rest of the city. David grew greater and greater, for Yahweh of armies was with him. Now these are the chief of the mighty men whom David had, who showed themselves strong with him in his kingdom, together with all Israel, to make him king, according to the word of Yahweh concerning Israel. This is the number of the mighty men whom David had: Jashobeam, the son of Hachmonite, the chief of the 30. He lifted up his spear against 300 and killed them at one time. After him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo the Ahohite, who was one of the 3 mighty men. He was with David at Pashdamim, and there the Philistines were gathered together to battle, where there was a plot of ground full of barley, and the people fled from before the Philistines. They stood in the midst of the plot, and defended it, and killed the Philistines, and Yahweh saved them by a great victory. 3 of the 30 chief men went down to the rock to David, into the cave of Adullam, and the army of the Philistines were encamped in the valley of Rephaim. David was then in the stronghold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. David longed and said, "Oh, that one would give me water to drink of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate." The three broke through the army of the Philistines, and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it, and brought it to David. But David would not drink of it, but poured it out to Yahweh, and said, "May God forbid it me that I should do this! Shall I drink the blood of these men who have put their lives in jeopardy?" For they risked their lives to bring it. Therefore he would not drink it. The three mighty men did these things. Abishai, the brother of Joab, he was chief of the three, for he lifted up his spear against 300 and killed them, and had a name among the three. Of the three he was more honorable than the two, and was made their captain. However, he didn't attain to the three. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done mighty deeds, he killed the two sons of Ariel of Moab. He went down also, and killed a lion in the midst of a pit in time of snow. He killed an Egyptian, a man of great stature, 5 cubits high, and in the Egyptian's hand was a spear like a weaver's beam. And he went down to him with a staff, and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand, and killed him with his own spear. Benaiah the son of Jehoiada did these things, and had a name among the three mighty men. Behold, he was more honorable than the 30, but he didn't attain to the three. And David set him over his guard. Also the mighty men of the armies, Asahel the brother of Joab, Elhanan the son of Dodo of Bethlehem, Shamoth the Hararite, Helez the Pelonite, Ira the son of Ikesh the Tekoite, Abiezer the Anathothite, Sibbecai the Hushathite, Eli the Ahohite, Maharai the Netophathite, Heled the son of Baana the Netophathite, Ithai the son of Ribai of Gibeah of the children of Benjamin, Benaiah the Pirathonite, Hurai of the brooks of Gaash, Abiel the Arbathite, Asmaveth the Bahuramite, Eliahaba the Shaalbanite, the sons of Hashem the Gizonite, Jonathan the son of Shaggai the Hararite, Ahiam the son of Sakar the Hararite, Eliphal the son of Hefer the Macherathite, Ahijah the Pelonite, Hezro the Carmelite, Naarai the son of Ezbai, Joel the brother of Nathan, Mibhar the son of Hagri, Zelek the Ammonite, Naharai the Beerothite, the armor-bearer of Joab the son of Zeruiah, Ira the Ithrite, Gareb the Ithrite, Uriah the Hittite, Zabad the son of Ahalai, Adinah the son of Shiza the Reubenite, a chief of the Reubenites, and 30 with him, Hanan the son of Maacah, and Jehoshaphat the Mithnite, Uzziah the Ashterathite, Shammah and Jael the sons of Hotham the Ararite, Jadiel the son of Shimri, and Johah his brother the Tizite, Eliel the Moabite, and Jerubai and Joshaviah the sons of Elnaam, and Ithma the Moabite, Eliel and Obed and Jaaziel the Mezobaite. End of chapter 11. Chapter 12. Now these are those who came to David to Ziklag while he yet kept himself close because of Saul the son of Kish, and they were among the mighty men, his helpers in war. They were armed with bows, and could use both the right hand and the left in slinging stones and in shooting arrows from the bow. They were of Saul's brothers of Benjamin. The chief was Ahiezer, then Joash, the sons of Shema the Gibeathite, and Jeziel and Pelet, the sons of Asmaveth, and Berakah, and Jehu the Anathothite, and Ishmaiah the Gibeonite, a mighty man among the 30, and over the 30, and Jeremiah, and Jahaziel, and Johanan, and Jozabad the Gederathite, Eluzai, and Jerimoth, and Bealiah, and Shemariah, and Shephatiah the Haruphite, Elkanah, and Ishiah, and Azarel, and Joezer, and Jashobeam the Korahites, and Joelah and Zebediah the sons of Jeroam of Gedor, Of the Gadites there separated themselves to David, to the stronghold in the wilderness, mighty men of valor, men trained for war, that could handle shield and spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and they were as swift as the roes on the mountains. Azer the chief, Obadiah the second, Eliab the third, Mishmanah the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth, Attai the sixth, Eliel the seventh, Johanan the eighth, Elzabad the ninth, Jeremiah the tenth, Machbanai the 11th. These of the sons of Gad were captains of the army. He who was least was equal to 100, and the greatest to 1,000. These are those who went over the Jordan in the first month, when it had overflowed all its banks, and they put to flight all them of the valleys, both toward the east and toward the west. There came of the children of Benjamin and of Judah to the stronghold of David. David went out to meet them, and answered them, If you have come peaceably to me to help me, my heart shall be knit to you. But if you have come to betray me to my adversaries, since there is no wrong in my hands, may the God of our fathers look thereon, and rebuke it. Then the Spirit came on Amasai, who was chief of the 30, and he said, We are yours, David, and on your side, you son of Jesse. Peace, peace be to you, and peace be to your helpers, for your God helps you. Then David received them, and made them captains of the band. Of Manasseh also there fell away some to David, when he came with the Philistines against Saul to battle. But they didn't help them, for the lords of the Philistines sent him away after consultation, saying, He will fall away to his master Saul, to the jeopardy of our heads. As he went to Ziklag, there fell to him of Manasseh Adnah, and Jozabad, and Jadiel, and Michael, and Jozabad, and Elihu, and Zilethai, captains of thousands who were of Manasseh. They helped David against the band of rovers, for they were all mighty men of valor, and were captains in the army. For from day to day men came to David to help him, until there was a great army, like the army of God. These are the numbers of the heads of those who were armed for war, who came to David to Hebron, to turn the kingdom of Saul to him, according to the word of Yahweh. The children of Judah who bore shield and spear were 6,800 armed for war. Of the children of Simeon, mighty men of valor for the war, 7,100. Of the children of Levi, 4,600. Jehoiada was the leader of the household of Aaron, and with him were 3,700, and Zadok, a young man mighty of valor, and of his father's house 22 captains. Of the children of Benjamin, the brothers of Saul, 3,000, for hitherto the greatest part of them had kept their allegiance to the house of Saul. Of the children of Ephraim, 20,800, mighty men of valor, famous men in their fathers' houses. Of the half-tribe of Manasseh, 18,000, who were mentioned by name, to come and make David king. Of the children of Issachar, men who had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, their heads were 200, and all their brothers were at their commandment. Of Zebulun, such as were able to go out in the army, who could set the battle in array, with all kinds of instruments of war, 50,000, and who could command, and were not of double heart. Of Naphtali 1,000 captains, and with them with shield and spear 37,000. Of the Danites who could set the battle in array, 28,600. Of Asher, such as were able to go out in the army, who could set the battle in array, 40,000. On the other side of the Jordan, of the Reubenites and the Gadites, and of the half-tribe of Manasseh, with all kinds of instruments of war for the battle, 120,000. All these being men of war, who could order the battle array, came with a perfect heart to Hebron, to make David king over all Israel, and all the rest of Israel were of one heart to make David king. They were there with David 3 days, eating and drinking, for their brothers had made preparation for them. Moreover, those who were near to them, as far as Issachar and Zebulun and Naphtali, brought bread on donkeys, and on camels, and on mules, and on oxen, food of meal, cakes of figs, and clusters of raisins, and wine, and oil, and cattle, and sheep in abundance, for there was joy in Israel. End of chapter 12. Chapter 13. David consulted with the captains of thousands and of hundreds, even with every leader. David said to all the assembly of Israel, "If it seems good to you, and if it is of Yahweh our God, let us send abroad everywhere to our brothers who are left in all the land of Israel, with whom the priests and Levites are in their cities that have suburbs, that they may gather themselves to us. And let us bring again the ark of our God to us, for we didn't seek it in the days of Saul." All the assembly said that they would do so, for the thing was right in the eyes of all the people. So David assembled all Israel together, from Shior the brook of Egypt, even to the entrance of Hamath, to bring the ark of God from Kiriath-jearim. David went up, and all Israel, to Baalah, that is, to Kiriath-jearim, which belonged to Judah, to bring up from there the ark of God Yahweh, that sits above the cherubim, that is called by the name. They carried the ark of God on a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab, and Uzzah and Ahio drove the cart. David and all Israel played before God with all their might, even with songs, and with harps, and with stringed instruments, and with tambourines, and with cymbals, and with trumpets. When they came to the threshing floor of Kidon, Uzzah put forth his hand to hold the ark, for the oxen stumbled. The anger of Yahweh was kindled against Uzzah, and he struck him, because he put forth his hand to the ark, and there he died before God. David was displeased, because Yahweh had broken forth on Uzzah, and he called that place Perez Uzzah to this day. David was afraid of God that day, saying, "How shall I bring the ark of God home to me?" So David didn't move the ark to him in the city of David, but carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. The ark of God remained with the family of Obed-Edom in his house 3 months, and Yahweh blessed the house of Obed-Edom and all that he had. End of chapter 13. Chapter 14. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and masons, and carpenters to build him a house. David perceived that Yahweh had established him king over Israel, for his kingdom was exalted on high for his people Israel's sake. David took more wives at Jerusalem, and David became the father of more sons and daughters. These are the names of the children whom he had in Jerusalem: Shammua and Shobab, Nathan and Solomon, and Ibhar, and Elishua, and Elpelet, and Nogah, and Nepheg, and Japhiah, and Elishama, and Baalidah, and Eliphelet. When the Philistines heard that David was anointed king over all Israel, all the Philistines went up to seek David, and David heard of it, and went out against them. Now the Philistines had come and made a raid in the valley of Rephaim. David inquired of God, saying, "Shall I go up against the Philistines? Will you deliver them into my hand?" Yahweh said to him, "Go up, for I will deliver them into your hand." So they came up to Baal-perazim, and David struck them there. And David said, "God has broken my enemies by my hand, like the breach of waters." Therefore they called the name of that place Baal-perazim. They left their gods there, and David gave commandment, and they were burned with fire. The Philistines yet again made a raid in the valley. David inquired again of God, and God said to him, "You shall not go up after them. Turn away from them, and come on them over against the mulberry trees. It shall be, when you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then you shall go out to battle. For God has gone out before you to strike the army of the Philistines." David did as God commanded him, and they struck the army of the Philistines from Gibeon even to Gezer. The fame of David went out into all lands, and Yahweh brought the fear of him on all nations. End of chapter 14. Chapter 15. David made him houses in the city of David, and he prepared a place for the ark of God, and pitched for it a tent. Then David said, "No one ought to carry the ark of God but the Levites, for Yahweh has chosen them to carry the ark of God and to minister to him forever. David assembled all Israel at Jerusalem to bring up the ark of Yahweh to its place which he had prepared for it. David gathered together the sons of Aaron and the Levites. Of the sons of Kohath, Uriel the chief, and his brothers 120. Of the sons of Merari, Asaiah the chief, and his brothers 220. Of the sons of Gershom, Joel the chief, and his brothers 130. Of the sons of Elzaphan, Shemaiah the chief, and his brothers 200. Of the sons of Hebron, Eliel the chief, and his brothers 80. Of the sons of Uzziel, Aminadab the chief, and his brothers 112. David called for Zadok and Abiathar the priests, and for the Levites, for Uriel, Asaiah, and Joel, Shemaiah, and Eliel, and Aminadab, and said to them, You are the heads of the fathers' households of the Levites. Sanctify yourselves, both you and your brothers, that you may bring up the ark of Yahweh, the God of Israel, to the place that I have prepared for it. For because you didn't carry it at first, Yahweh our God broke out against us, because we didn't seek him according to the ordinance. So the priests and the Levites sanctified themselves to bring up the ark of Yahweh, the God of Israel. The children of the Levites bore the ark of God on their shoulders with the poles thereon, as Moses commanded according to the word of Yahweh. David spoke to the chief of the Levites to appoint their brothers the singers, with instruments of music, stringed instruments, and harps and cymbals, sounding aloud and lifting up the voice with joy. So the Levites appointed Heman the son of Joel, and of his brothers Asaph the son of Berechiah, and of the sons of Merari their brothers Ethan the son of Cushiah, and with them their brothers of the second degree, Zechariah, Ben, and Jaaziel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehiel, and Unni, Eliab, and Benaiah, and Maaseiah, and Mattathiah, and Elephalahu, and Micniah, and Obed-Edom, and Jael, the doorkeepers. So the singers, Heman, Asaph, and Ethan, were given cymbals of brass to sound aloud, and Zechariah, and Aziel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehiel, and Unni, and Eliab, and Maaseiah, and Benaiah, with stringed instruments set to Alamoth, and Mattathiah, and Elephalahu, and Micniah, and Obed-Edom, and Jael, and Azaziah, with harps tuned to the 8-stringed lyre, to lead. Kenaniah, chief of the Levites, was over the song. He instructed about the song, because he was skillful. Berechiah and Elkanah were doorkeepers for the ark. Shebaniah and Jehoshaphat and Nethanel and Amasai and Zechariah and Benaiah and Eleazar the priests blew the trumpets before the ark of God, and Obed-Edom and Jehiah were doorkeepers for the ark. So David and the elders of Israel and the captains over thousands went to bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh out of the house of Obed-Edom with joy. It happened, when God helped the Levites who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, that they sacrificed 7 bulls and 7 rams. David was clothed with a robe of fine linen, and all the Levites who bore the ark, and the singers, and Kenaniah the master of the song with the singers. And David had on him an ephod of linen. Thus all Israel brought up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh with shouting, and with sound of the cornet, and with trumpets, and with cymbals sounding aloud, with stringed instruments and harps. It happened, as the ark of the covenant of Yahweh came to the city of David, that Michal the daughter of Saul looked out at the window, and saw King David dancing and playing, and she despised him in her heart. End of chapter 15. Chapter 16. They brought in the ark of God, and set it in the midst of the tent that David had pitched for it, and they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before God. When David had made an end of offering the burnt offering and the peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of Yahweh. He dealt to every one of Israel, both man and woman, to every one a loaf of bread, and a portion of meat, and a cake of raisins. He appointed certain of the Levites to minister before the ark of Yahweh, and to celebrate, and to thank, and praise Yahweh the God of Israel. Asaph the chief, and second to him Zechariah, Jael, and Shemiramoth, and Jahiel, and Mattithiah, and Eliab, and Benaiah, and Obed-Edom, and Jael with stringed instruments and with harps, and Asaph with cymbals sounding aloud, and Benaniah and Jahaziel the priests with trumpets continually before the ark of the covenant of God. Then on that day David first ordained to give thanks to Yahweh by the hand of Asaph and his brothers. O give thanks to Yahweh, call on his name, make his doings known among the peoples. Sing to him, sing praises to him, tell of all his marvelous works. Glory in his holy name, let the heart of those who seek Yahweh rejoice. Seek Yahweh and his strength, seek his face forevermore. Remember his marvelous works that he has done, his wonders, and the judgments of his mouth, you seed of Israel, his servant, you children of Jacob, his chosen ones. He is Yahweh our God, his judgments are in all the earth. Remember his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, the covenant which he made with Abraham, his oath to Isaac. He confirmed the same to Jacob for a statute, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, I will give you the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance, when you were but a few in number, yes, very few, and foreigners were in it. They went about from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another people. He allowed no man to do them wrong. Yes, he reproved kings for their sakes. Don't touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm. Sing to Yahweh all the earth. Display his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the nations, and his marvelous works among all the peoples. For great is Yahweh, and greatly to be praised. He also is to be feared above all gods, for all the gods of the peoples are idols, but Yahweh made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and gladness are in his place. Ascribe to Yahweh, you relatives of the peoples. Ascribe to Yahweh glory and strength. Ascribe to Yahweh the glory due his name. Bring an offering and come before him. Worship Yahweh in holy array. Tremble before him, all the earth. The world also is established, that it can't be moved. Let the heavens be glad, and let the earth rejoice. Let them say among the nations, Yahweh reigns. Let the sea roar and its fullness. Let the field exult, and all that is therein. Then the trees of the forest will sing for joy before Yahweh, for he comes to judge the earth. O give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Say, save us, God of our salvation. Gather us together and deliver us from the nations, to give thanks to your holy name, to triumph in your praise. Blessed be Yahweh, the God of Israel, from everlasting even to everlasting. All the people said, Amen, and praised Yahweh. So he left there, before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, Asaph and his brothers to minister before the ark continually, as every day's work required, and Obed-Edom with their brothers, 68. Obed-Edom also the son of Jeduthun, and Hosah to be doorkeepers, and Zadok the priest, and his brothers the priests, before the tabernacle of Yahweh in the high place that was at Gibeon, to offer burnt offerings to Yahweh on the altar of burnt offerings continually, morning and evening, even according to all that is written in the law of Yahweh, which he commanded to Israel. And with them Haman and Jeduthun, and the rest who were chosen, who were mentioned by name, to give thanks to Yahweh, because his loving kindness endures forever. And with them Haman and Jeduthun with trumpets and cymbals for those that should sound aloud, and with instruments for the songs of God, and the sons of Jeduthun to be at the gate. All the people departed, every man to his house, and David returned to bless his house. End of chapter 16. Chapter 17. It happened when David lived in his house that David said to Nathan the prophet, Behold, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of the covenant of Yahweh is under curtains. Nathan said to David, Do all that is in your heart, for God is with you. It happened the same night that the word of God came to Nathan, saying, Go and tell David my servant, Thus says Yahweh, You shall not build me a house to dwell in, for I have not lived in a house since the day that I brought up Israel to this day, but have gone from tent to tent, and from one tent to another. In all places in which I have walked with all Israel, did I speak a word with any of the judges of Israel, whom I commanded to be shepherd of my people, saying, Why have you not built me a house of cedar? Now therefore you shall tell my David servant, Thus says Yahweh of armies, I took you from the sheep pen, from following the sheep, that you should be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone, and have cut off all your enemies from before you. I will make you a name, like the name of the great ones who are in the earth. I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them that they may dwell in their own place, and be moved no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness waste them any more, as at the first, and from the day that I commanded judges to be over your people Israel. And I will subdue all your enemies. Moreover, I tell you that Yahweh will build you a house. It shall happen, when your days are fulfilled, that you must go to be with your fathers, that I will set up your seed after you, who shall be of your sons, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build me a house, and I will establish his throne forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. I will not take my loving kindness away from him, as I took it from him that was before you, but I will settle him in my house and in my kingdom forever. His throne shall be established forever. According to all these words, and according to all this vision, so Nathan spoke to David. Then David the king went in, and sat before Yahweh, and said, Who am I, Yahweh God, and what is my house that you have brought me thus far? This was a small thing in your eyes, God, but you have spoken of your servant's house for a great while to come, and have respected me according to the estate of a man of high degree, Yahweh God. What can David say yet more to you concerning the honor which is done to your servant? For you know your servant, Yahweh, for your servant's sake, and according to your own heart, you have worked all this greatness, to make known all these great things. Yahweh, there is none like you, neither is there any God besides you, according to all that we have heard with our ears. What one nation in the earth is like your people Israel, whom God went to redeem to himself for a people, to make you a name by great and awesome things, in driving out nations from before your people, whom you redeem out of Egypt? For your people Israel you made your own people forever, and you, Yahweh, became their God. Now, Yahweh, let the word that you have spoken concerning your servant and concerning his house be established forever, and do as you have spoken. Let your name be established and magnified forever, saying, Yahweh of armies is the God of Israel, even a God to Israel. The house of David your servant is established before you. For you, my God, have revealed to your servant that you will build him a house. Therefore your servant has found courage to pray before you. Now, Yahweh, you are God, and have promised this good thing to your servant. Now it has pleased you to bless the house of your servant, that it may continue forever before you. For you, Yahweh, have blessed, and it is blessed forever. End of chapter 17. Chapter 18. After this it happened that David struck the Philistines, and subdued them, and took Gath and its towns out of the hand of the Philistines. He struck Moab, and the Moabites became servants to David, and brought tribute. David struck Hadadezer, king of Zobah, to Hamath, as he went to establish his dominion by the river Euphrates. David took from him 1,000 chariots, and 7,000 horsemen, and 20,000 footmen. And David hamstrung all the chariot horses, but reserved of them for 100 chariots. When the Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David struck of the Syrians 22,000 men. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants to David and brought tribute. Yahweh gave victory to David wherever he went. David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. From Tibhath and from Kun, cities of Hadadezer, David took very much brass, with which Solomon made the bronze sea, and the pillars, and the vessels of brass. When Tou, king of Hamath, heard that David had struck all the army of Hadadezer, king of Zobah, he sent Hadaram his son to King David, to greet him and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and struck him. For Hadadezer had wars with Tou, and he had with him all kinds of vessels of gold and silver and brass. King David also dedicated these to Yahweh, with the silver and the gold that he carried away from all the nations, from Edom, and from Moab, and from the children of Ammon, and from the Philistines, and from Amalek. Moreover, Abishai the son of Zeruiah struck of the Edomites in the valley of Salt 18,000. He put garrisons in Edom, and all the Edomites became servants to David. Yahweh gave victory to David wherever he went. David reigned over all Israel, and he executed justice and righteousness to all his people. Joab the son of Zeruiah was over the army, and Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was recorder, and Zadok the son of Ahitub and Abimelech the son of Abiathar were priests, and Shavsha was scribe, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and the sons of David were chief about the king. End of chapter 18. Chapter 19. It happened after this that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, died, and his son reigned in his place. David said, I will show kindness to Hanun the son of Nahash, because his father showed kindness to me. So David sent messengers to comfort him concerning his father. David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon to Hanun to comfort him. But the princes of the children of Ammon said to Hanun, Do you think that David honors your father in that he has sent comforters to you? Haven't his servants come to you to search, to overthrow, and to spy out the land? So Hanun took David's servants and shaved them, and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away. Then there went certain persons, and told David how the men were served. He sent to meet them, for the men were greatly ashamed. The king said, Stay at Jericho until your beards have grown, and then return. When the children of Ammon saw that they had made themselves odious to David, Hanun and the children of Ammon sent 1,000 talents of silver to hire them chariots and horsemen out of Mesopotamia, and out of Aram-Maacah, and out of Zobah. So they hired for themselves 32,000 chariots, and the king of Maacah and his people who came and encamped before Medeba. The children of Ammon gathered themselves together from their cities and came to battle. When David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the army of the mighty men. The children of Ammon came out and put the battle in array at the gate of the city, and the kings who had come were by themselves in the field. Now when Joab saw that the battle was sent against him before and behind, he chose of all the choice men of Israel and put them in array against the Syrians. The rest of the people he committed into the hand of Abishai his brother, and they put themselves in array against the children of Ammon. He said, If the Syrians are too strong for me, then you are to help me. But if the children of Ammon are too strong for you, then I will help you. Be courageous, and let us be strong for our people and for the cities of our God. May Yahweh do that which seems good to him. So Joab and the people who were with him drew near before the Syrians to the battle, and they fled before him. When the children of Ammon saw that the Syrians had fled, they likewise fled before Abishai his brother, and entered into the city. Then Joab came to Jerusalem. When the Syrians saw that they were defeated by Israel, they sent messengers and drew forth the Syrians who were beyond the river, with Shophach, the captain of the army of Hadadezer, at their head. It was told David, and he gathered all Israel together, and passed over the Jordan, and came on them, and set the battle in array against them. So when David had put the battle in array against the Syrians, they fought with him. The Syrians fled before Israel, and David killed of the Syrians the men of 7,000 chariots and 40,000 footmen, and killed Shophach, the captain of the army. When the servants of Hadadezer saw that they were defeated by Israel, they made peace with David and served him. Neither would the Syrians help the children of Ammon any more. End of chapter 19. End of chapters 10 through 19 of First Chronicles. Recording by Carol Newkirk.